Hey everyone, Jefferson here with the Daily DLP. It is March 3rd. Today we are going to talk about centers. That's right, because there's been a couple of newsworthy items with the Lions at the center position. Obviously, Monday was the day where the David Montgomery trade with the Houston Texans went down. And in that trade, the Lions acquired interior offensive lineman, but plays best at center, Choice Scruggs, former second-round pick out of Penn State. He is now a Lion. He is under contract through next year. And he joins the fray of competition to be among the starting centers on this team. And that opening, it's vacant now because later on Monday, as expected, the Lions cut Graham Glasgow and freed up some cap room in doing so. Was not a surprise. It certainly wasn't a surprise to Glasgow because about 5 minutes after the Lions posted that he had been released, he posted a fantastic thank you to everybody. Clearly had that in the can, ready to go. It's frustrating the way that it ended with Graham Glasgow because he's a genuinely good dude. Gave his heart to the Lions, gave everything he had, but unfortunately what he had the last couple of seasons just wasn't that great, especially in the run game. Did his best, filled in. Look, and I don't think he was helped by the way that the Lions approached the center position last. Look, obviously Frank Ragnau retiring when he did put them in a massive pinch. And one of the criticisms that I've had of the offensive staff last season, going beyond John Morton, this goes on Hank Fraley, this goes on Dan Campbell, is that they asked Graham Glasgow to do things that Frank Ragnau could do. Graham Glasgow can do. Very, very rare few can do what Frank Ragnau did. That's one of the reasons why the Lions missed him so much. That's not Graham's fault, but it's time. It was time. Wish him very well, nothing but the best as he goes on to, if he continues playing or if he calls it a career. He's had a lot of injuries, never really recovered from the injury that he had, the nasty ankle injury that he had when he went to the Broncos as a free agent after being with the Lions the first time. And that's unfortunate, when you get those, career-altering injuries. But he just never got the range back that he had when he was done earlier. But longtime Lion, thanks, Graham. You're a good dude. Really are. Everybody who is in the building on a daily basis just raves about the guy. And in the limited interactions I've had with him, he was always cordial, even though he knew that I had been very critical of his game. And I appreciate that professionalism. Because you don't get that from everyone. He understands that taking the criticism when you don't play well is part of being an NFL player. I think that gets lost, especially when we're talking about prospects and guys moving forward, and we have to nitpick what they do and don't do well. Being able to understand that it's not personal, and being honest with yourself and have an honest assessment of your own game and your own skills is an important trait. Nearly every great player has that. Penei Sewell is fantastic about it. Aiden Hutchinson, Brian Branch. You look at those guys and they're able to understand that unless it's like a very weirdly personal issue, it's not personal. And I know I try never to make it that way. I think most people in my business tend to try not to make it personal. And it's hard to do sometimes when a player is, on the receiving end of criticism a lot. And that's the way it is. So now at the center position, potentially, you add in Choice Scruggs, who did play his best ball in Houston at center in 2024. They moved him to guard because they happened upon Jake Andrews from the Patriots, went to the Texans. He can pretty much only play center and didn't play very well, but they kept him in there. Yeah, that's a tough one. He's in the competition with Seth McLaughlin, made a video about him back in January. That is a couple months ago now. Former Alabama and Ohio State center who missed his rookie season due to injury, was on the Bengals practice squad, was a guy that I was very, very high on coming out of the draft. He was my number one center in that draft. Hope that he's recovered, and I hope that he can compete and get a fair shake at being the starting center, but that's not going to be given to him, nor should it be. But there's competition there. And you go back to Tate Ratledge, can play center. He did play some center last year. Based on the comments that came out of the combine from Brad Holmes, where he said, we moved him and we're not opposed to moving him back, but we felt like it was easier for him to play right guard, and he was pretty damn good at right guard. Very good at right guard. I will just say, and I will explain why I think Tate Ratledge is a better center prospect than he would be at guard. And he's damn good at guard. The biggest issue that he has at guard is when he's trying to square up somebody who isn't over his face to start the play, whether it's a guy that's starting to his outside shoulder or his inside shoulder, and they can go one way or the other. And he can be a little bit slow to react to that. Now, again, some of that's, he'll get better at that with experience. Picking up second level guys from that stance was a big problem for him. But again, he'll get better with that experience. But that's naturally mitigated at center because your responsibility, your cone of responsibility is smaller because there's only so many guys that can come into you at center. And especially if they're coming from further outside, you've got more time to react to it. So that's why I advocate that Tate Ratledge could be a very good center, a better center than guard. I don't know that would happen, and I don't know that the Lions will do that, but Dave Burkett of the Free Press came out and put it in his combine report on Free. You can check it out there. That he was told by one league exec or some agent contact. You can't keep track of all that. And I don't have the article in front of me. I apologize about that, but that person thinks that the Lions are going to move Tate Ratledge to center because it's easier to find guards than centers. And he might be onto something there. It's a free agent center class. Look, Tyler Linderbaum, pipe dream. Forget about it. This Lions franchise is not going to get into a bidding war. By the way, Graham Glasgow was better in pass protection than Tyler Linderbaum was last year. Just throwing that out there. Let another team pay $16 to $18 million a year for that. I'm fine with that. Cade Mays is out there. I was told very early in the combine process that the Lions would have some interest in him. Connor McGovern is out there. It sounds like he's probably going to get priced out unless he is in ring whore mode, which he might be. Again, don't discount the fact that guys who are veterans who are looking for championships as much as they're looking for money are going to value Detroit more than they value other places because this Lions team is indeed close to a Super Bowl. Got some work to do, no doubt about it. But if you're trying to win, you're going to sign in Detroit, or you're going to sign in Arizona. You're going to sign in Minnesota, which apparently is trying to get rid of Jonathan Grenard now, one of their top pass rushers. On the rare occasions that they don't blitz, he is their best pass rusher. It feels like they're trying to get rid of him because they can't afford him. These things happen. Now, it's not a great year for centers in that. Tyler Biadasz, Ethan Posick, they're both damaged goods, veterans. Posick probably won't play. Like he had his injury, his ACL late in the season. So you're looking at a guy that's probably going to be out for a while, or Achilles. Again, the injuries, so many of them. Yeah. So let's go to the draft. Let's talk about centers in the 2026 NFL draft. I'm going to pull this from the consensus report that my partner here at DLP, Chris, has posted. You'll want to check it out. It updates every day, and it gives you the updated consensus big board rankings. And a lot of changes have happened since the combine ended a couple days ago. My big board isn't quite updated yet. It's in the process, as I'm also doing a mock draft, which you can find at Real GM. Hopefully on Wednesday. We'll see if I get that done. It might be Thursday. Got a lot going on. But let's look at the centers, the guys who are centers in this draft class. Connor Liu is the top-rated one. He is currently number 62 on the consensus. But there's a but. Tore his ACL on October 18th, which means that he's going to be out for all of training camp. So you're going to ask a guy coming from Auburn, good player, much more of a movement-based center, which somewhat concerns me that he's coming off of an ACL. We just went through this with Christian Mahogany. Like, coming back, it takes a while. You're not going to be here, but we saw this with Ali McNeil. That first year back, especially when you're back in 8-9 months, you're just not the same player. It takes a little bit of time. So you're effectively, I'm going to say that if you want Lou, I don't think he's going to go in the second round. I think he's going to go in the third or the fourth, but you're then taking a pick on a guy who's likely not going to contribute as a rookie. And if he does, it's only at the very end of the season after he hasn't practiced all year. That's suboptimal. Next on the list is Sam Hecht, Kansas State, good player. Good player. He's number 92. Lions currently, that's the end of the third round, towards the end of the third round. Lions currently don't have a third round pick, but they did pick up a fourth round pick in the David Montgomery trade, which they could package with their other fourth round pick and get up into that range if need be. Again, I don't know that they'll need to do that. I think the rankings are not necessarily congruent with the draft stock. It's a weird. It's the difference between having a big board and having a mock draft. Just as an example, I will have Ty Simpson in the top 40 in my mock draft. There's no way in hell he's a top 40 prospect in this draft. Nope. Caden Proctor will be in the top 40 of my mock draft. So that's predicting where players will get drafted. As far as rankings, he's nowhere near the top 40 either. Understand that when you're reading mock drafts or reading big boards, that isn't necessarily a projection of where they're going. Like, as an example, my number one overall player is Caleb Downs. He's not going number one. He might not go in the top 10. It's just sort of the way things work. But Hecht is a good player. Fits the Lions style, too. So you're looking at maybe a middle round guy there. Can he start right away? Probably. I don't know how great it would be to have a rookie center starting in there with inexperienced guards on either side, but okay. Like, that's in the range where Graham Glasgow was once drafted, actually. He can be that kind of a player. Logan Jones from Iowa checks in at number 111. So that's right where the acquired pick from the Texans sits. So that's in that range. Matt Gulbin, who I'm going to talk about as the prospect of the day in a minute, for Michigan State is 179. And my guy Jagger Burton, sorry, I'll get that name right, from Kentucky, guy who I've already profiled, Shrine Bowl star, personal favorite of DLP colleague Russ Brown. He's number 181. I'll just tell you right now, he's in my top 120 overall. I like him a lot. Doesn't mean he's going to get drafted there, but you're looking at those are fifth round, early sixth round picks. Gulbin and Burton. Beyond that, roll of the dice on more developmental prospects. I do think that Burton could start right away. You're going to have a little bit of a learning curve, but he can play guard or center, as can Gulbin. Jones is much more of a straight center only, but so that's your options. I don't know where you go with that. if they move Ratledge, again, I don't know that they will, it's a lot easier to find guards than it is to find centers. It's also cheaper in the free agent market to find a guard than a center. Although the guards I want in free agency are a little bit more pricey. Even a guy like Wyatt Teller, who's 32, and was talked back a little bit by some Browns colleagues that think he's closer to being done than I thought he was, but there's still something to offer there. By the way, hard no on Jack Conklin. I'll just leave it at that. Not a Lions style of player as much as he tends to project that he is. And that's from multiple sources who know him. So I don't see that one happening. Let's get into Matt Gulbin, because this is a guy that a lot of players or a lot of Lions fans who live in the Mid-State, they got to know him a little bit. Let's bring him up here. Center at Michigan State. You'll notice the C on his chest, team captain. That's impressive because he transferred in from Wake Forest just last year. When you're a newcomer, I know Michigan State has a transient football program at this point, but anytime you come in from the outside and you get voted captain, that's impressive to me. More to the point, that's impressive to the Detroit Lions. Bring up his measurements here. 6'4", 305. He was at the combine. He did not work out due to injury. He will. He did say in his podium interview that he's planning on working out in full at Michigan State's Pro Day. He could have worked out. He did not. And he was asked it like fairly directly, and he sort of skirted around what the exact injury was, which is fun. Michigan State has never reported it. I didn't watch the game that he got hurt. He did miss their last game, the Maryland game, but I don't know what it is. But if he works out at Michigan State's Pro Day, I'm not going to be worried about it. And one of the reasons is because before he got hurt at the end of his college career, remarkably durable dude, played every snap over 3 seasons. That's good. 4-year player, 2-year starter at Wake Forest. Played over 600 snaps at right guard, left guard, and center. Didn't play much center until he got to Michigan. By the way, he also played over 100 snaps at right tackle at Wake Forest. So this is a guy profiles exceptionally well in the Miles Frazier. He can play every position for you as a versatile reserve. By the way, I should probably throw Miles Frazier into the mix at center. I don't see it. I think he's a tackle, but we don't know that. We don't know what the Lions' plans are for him, whether it's going to be guard, tackle, or center. He did talk last year about being open to playing center as well, and his athletic profile does somewhat fit playing center. I still would like to see him be the swing tackle, and get groomed by Taylor Decker to take over for him. But that's my dream. The Lions share that viewpoint. We'll see what comes along with that. When you watch Gulbin, first thing you notice, shoulder strength, upper body strength, shoulder torque, core strength, the ability to twist his body, engage, and move the shoulders of the guy that he's blocking in run or pass game. He's really good at that. Much stronger through the upper body and chest and core than what he appears. Because he does, like, if you saw him walking down the street, like, you'd be like, okay, that's probably a football player, but he's not like this hulking mass dude. Plays with the fit the grit style, plays to the echo of the whistle. He will bury guys with pancakes, and he will let them know that he did it too. And I kind of like that. I do. Very good grip strength. When he gets his hands on you, both hands, he will latch on very well. Now, He does need to learn when to let go. I did not put this in the cons part, but he did have a lot of penalties. 17 penalties in college. I don't have the breakdown of what they all are. Other than his last year at Wake Forest, he had 6. 4 were holds, 1 was a false start, and 1 was an illegal formation, which that's weird for a guard, by the way, but that's how they have it listed. I love the way he drives his feet, drives his legs in the run game. Shows up on tape, showed up at Wake Forest, showed up at Michigan State. He will drive his legs, fast feet. I like that. That's a personal. There are coaches that actually want you to not be as fast with your feet because it takes away your balance a little bit. But he's good enough at it. He's got enough upper body strength that he can get away with it. So I like what I see there. He would be a definite plus in the run game. The cons, they're real. 31 3/4 arms on a dude who's 6'4". If you're 6'4" and your arms aren't at least 33 inches long, you got short arms, and he's more than an inch below that threshold. So and it shows because, and I'll put this in here, the catch blocking. When you're an interior, this is much more of a thing for tackles. I talked about it with Caden Proctor, who does it endemically on the outside. And he does it almost because his arms are too long. But Gulbin, because he can't reach out and fire out as much, he tends to be a little bit more passive. And he will expose his chest a little bit. And he wants the defensive linemen, especially guys that aren't coming from right in front of him, to go into him. And that's where he latches on. That's generally not how the Lions operate. They want more aggression. Hank Fraley is big on firing out and seizing and dictating the action, dictating the contact. Maybe it was because he only played center at Michigan State and just had a kiss of it at Wake Forest. That he's got to change that a little bit. Then he'll grow into it and can get better at it. That's certainly a coachable point. But that's a turnoff. It's a turnoff for me, and it's a turnoff for the Lions as well. It does have, I don't want to say it's bad range, but he is not as mobile to get outside of his initial gap as some other centers in this class. Logan Jones is fantastic at it. I think Jagger Burton is very good at that for being a bigger dude. Burton's like 10 to 12 pounds heavier and moves better. So Gulbin is a day 3 guy. Ideally, he would come in if you draft him in the 5th or 6th round, which is probably where he's going to go. It could be later if he winds up not testing out at Michigan State, but I trust that he will. Seems like a very straightforward, straight shooting guy. Interior reserve your first year. You probably don't want him to start right away, especially since he's got limited experience at center. So that's Matt Gulbin, today's daily DLP prospect of the day. I like him. Don't love him. Not upset with if the Lions take him, though. But that's a lot of talk about centers. Obviously, it's a problem for the Lions that they have to get fixed because now that Graham Glasgow is officially gone, it's a big hole. But there are a lot of different ways that they can fill it, and I hope that you learned some of those options here. Be curious as to which way you think they can go. You can leave that in the comments. You can put it in the Patreon Slack, which hopefully you've subscribed to already. Great $5 a month. Keeps you out of social media, which is it's good for everybody. Going to try to do a most likely prospects at 17 and 50 for the daily tomorrow. I had a guest tentatively set up. Unfortunately, that has fallen through. That's going to get pushed off to later in the week. We're also going to do a mailbag later this week, post-combine, pre-free agency type thing. So stay tuned for all that. Like and subscribe. We're a little bit off schedule. I like to have these out in the morning. Just hasn't worked out that way this week. And Wednesdays probably won't come first thing in the morning either, just as a heads up. So make sure you like and subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you find your podcasts. because the times are varying on these, and I apologize for that. With that, Jefferson signing out. Be good to one another.